Hello, this is J.D. Seal, Vice President of Skyview Partners, and I want to welcome you to this morning's session on 10 things you don't want to miss in the Audit Journal. Today's presenter is Carol Woodbury, President of Skyview Partners. We also have a special guest today. John Vanderwall will be joining us later in the session with a special bonus section. Skyview Partners is committed to delivering products and services that not only provide our customers with sound advice, but also saves them time, reduces the cost, and simplifies the management of security administration, including compliance. Our presenter today, Carol Woodbury, is the co-founder, president, and CTO of Skyview Partners. Prior to founding Skyview, she spent 16 years at IBM in positions including Chief Engineering Manager and Security Architect for IBM's iSeries Security Group. Carol is also the author of the new book, just out last month, IBM iSecurity, Administration and Compliance, available at MC Press online. Skyview Partners has various software solutions that can help you. Skyview Risk Assessor, our automated diagnostic tool, Skyview Policy Minder, automated security administration tool, Skyview Audit Journal Reporter, predefined auditor-ready reports, and also Skyview Policy Minder is now available for IBM AIX. And remember, at Skyview Partners, we don't charge for installation and basic configuration. Skyview Partners also has various services that we can help you with, the Skyview Security Checkup for IBM I, as well as Security Checkup for AIX. Skyview Partners has just recently announced the new managed services for compliance reporting, as well as we continue to do a lot of re-architecture and remediation services. So if there's something we can help you with, please let us know. As we get ready now, please remember, if you have questions, type them into the GoToWebinar dialog box. And with that, I want to turn the presentation over to Carol Woodbury for 10 things you don't want to miss in the Audit Journal. Good morning, Carol.
Morning, JD. Thanks for joining me, everyone. This was a very fun presentation to put together because if you've ever listened to any of my presentations on auditing, you know I am a huge proponent of everything that goes into the Audit Journal, and there is such a wealth of information in that Audit Journal that it can make your life easier, whether you're trying to reduce your time it takes to do compliance items, or if you're a security administrator or a system administrator trying to do your everyday like system debug type tasks. Can't tell you how many times one of our clients that we've been working with and I have gone into the Audit Journal to debug what was going on. So with that, let me start talking about the 10 things that you don't want to miss out of that Audit Journal. And I just want to point out that I do now have a Twitter account, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Carol Woodbury. All right, so number 10, changes to system values. Now, I'm actually going to show what this report can look like. So I'm not just going to talk about this, I'm going to show this. And the way that I'm going to show this is by using our product, Audit Journal Reporter. Now, Audit Journal Reporter I'm very proud of because it has already defined these reports for you. So not only do you not have to understand the inner workings of the Audit Journal and understand which codes you have to harvest the entries for to get this information, but you also don't have to format the reports. We've made sure that all of the information in the reports is appropriate for the type of report, and we've already done that for you, so these reports are ready to go. So I've already gotten this product set up. I've configured myself as a user of this product, and now I'm going to go in and say run AJR query, option number 2. And as I scroll by, you can see that we have a number of different predefined reports that we have. I'm going to scroll down to the system value report. We find that people use this product in 2 different ways. We find that people use it to do everyday reporting, that compliance reporting that auditors want you to do on a regular basis. And then we find that people are using the product to do investigative work. So there's a couple different ways to use this product. You can also use this product where you gather the information up into a temporary file and do that on a daily basis and then generate your reports out of that temporary file, and that's especially tuned for people who have audit journal receivers that accumulate very rapidly and that have to come off the system like every 2 to 3 days. I've configured the product that the version that we're using today to have my reports come directly out of the audit journal receivers. Okay, so I'm going to run the system value report, and I could either run it so that I see changes to the security relevant system values, or I could change it so that I could see changes to a specific system value or any system value. Let's just go ahead and look at the system values that are security relevant. Now, as you look at these reports, you can find out what they're actually going to do for you by taking option 13, guidelines. And this will give you an explanation of what this report is going to produce. So this is changes to the system values, and it defaults to all of the security relevant system values. It also is going to tell you what audit values you need in the audit values, the auditing system values. Some of these reports you may get a blank report for, even though you think that you might have activity, and that's probably because you don't have the right values specified in the system value. That actually happened to me as I was putting together this presentation, so lesson learned there. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and run this report and see what happens. Now, this is the way that I'm going to run it interactively. I will show you later how you can schedule the reports to run on a regular basis. I'm just going to do this interactively. And when I press enter, it's going to use the current journal receiver. If I wanted to, I could put dates in here. So I could put a starting and end date. And if I wanted to really narrow it down, I could put a start and end time. And that's certainly appropriate for certain situations where you know the time frame that you want to look at. Okay, I have a shortcut here that will let me just look at my spool files. I'm going to scroll down here, and here we go. Okay, so again, these reports have been specifically tuned and customized for the type of report we're running. So I wanted to see the changes to system values. So this is a 3-line report. So on the first line for each entry, I get the date, the time, the system, the person that made the change, the system value that was changed, the job name. And the second line, I get the current value, or what it was changed to, and the old value, what it was changed from. So you can see, let's see, I changed the password expiration interval a couple times. I think that was probably during a PolicyMinder demo. Looks like I also, and this is where I had to change the auditing system value because I didn't have something specified. So I can scroll down and you can see what that is. Oh, and I changed the limit device session system value. So you have a record of what it was changed to, what it was changed from, and who made the change. So very easy to know how or who changed your system values. Okay, so that's one thing that you don't want to miss out of the audit journal. Okay, that's number 10. Obviously, we're going to do a countdown here. Number 9, authority failures. Now, that's probably where most of you know about the audit journal, is in the authority failures. So you can certainly look for those authority failures where there's insufficient authority to something. But there's also an entry that a lot of people aren't aware of that is an entry for when you don't have sufficient authority to something. And when I say sufficient authority, I mean sufficient special authority. So there are some commands that you know, and some APIs, that IBM I requires you to have a special authority for to be able to actually run those commands. Some of the TCP/IP configuration commands require iosysconfig. The changing an auditing system value requires audit special authority and so forth. So let's take a look and see what those look like. Okay, so back to the product. I'm just going to clean up my spool files here because otherwise we're going to be scrolling through these the whole time. Okay. So authority failures. Now, there's a couple ways that I would suggest that you would want to look at authority failures. And so we're calling these the AF entries. Now, it may be that you would want to set up a regular report to run probably on a daily basis for files that you have set to be, especially files that you have set to be public exclude and that contain private data. A lot of people do this for their files that contain credit card information. Other places that I've seen this happen is monitoring who has tried to access files that contain payroll information and so forth. So you may want to set this up so that you are monitoring the authority to specific files or files in specific libraries. The way that you would do that is to modify this condition list. A condition list is simply a filter for what is going to appear in the report. So I'm going to modify this first filter. And we give you a sample of how you can do this. So if you have a specific object name that you would want to look for on a regular basis, you can type that in and so forth. Or perhaps you want to look for all of the objects in a specific library. Now I have set this up in the second condition list. You can set up a condition list and let it sit. And then when you know that somebody has not been authorized to something, you can use the second condition list to go in and specify that you want to see authority failures for certain libraries. Well, I thought that I had done this, but I guess I didn't. All right, so the name of the file that I want to look at is PCI data, and it's CJW, and it's a file. Okay, so I'll wipe out the %sign is our generic. Okay, so I believe that I may have some authority failures for that object, an object here. So we'll just run this. And lo and behold, we have a report. And so, again, we have specified the specific fields that would be of interest to you. So the date that the authority failure occurred, the job name, the system, the time, the user, named Devious. And if I scroll to the right, oops, there we go. The object library, the object itself, it's a violation type of not being authorized, and here's the IP address that the failure came from. So you can see that this is specifically tuned to be an authority failure for this specific object. Okay? So again, this might be something that you would want to run on a regular basis. The way that you would do that is to schedule the command run qj-ajr. And the nice thing about this command is that you can say which query you want to do or group of query you want to do. Okay, and then you can either do the start or end time. But if you're putting this in a job schedule entry, probably what you would want to do is say a certain period. So I want to see this activity for the last 7 days. So I'm going to say my period type is day. Today is always 0, and my offset is going to be 7. So I want to see the previous 7 days worth of authority failures. And that's how I would generate the report for the last 7 days. If I wanted to do it for the last day and generate this and schedule this on a daily basis, I would just say I want to see the previous day's activity. And this way, and from a security best practices point of view, this is the way that you would want to make sure that nobody is trying to access those files without authority. And if they are, you can investigate and see what they're trying to do. Okay, so that was the blatant, somebody was trying to get access without sufficient authority. Now let's see what it would look like if they don't have the sufficient special authorities. So I'm going to use this other setup and get a more generic range of authority failures. And I'm going to do specific dates here. Okay, and look for the report. Okay, now we have some different things going on here. Let's scroll over to see what those failures are. Okay, we get not authorized, not authorized, but here is a special authority violation. Now, this is where you have the situation where somebody is trying to run a command and they don't have a specific special authority. So in this case, and I'm going to scroll back to the left, the user devious did not have special authority to run the create user profile command. So while it doesn't tell you what special authority they don't have, what you can then do is look in the Security Reference Manual, Appendix D, for the create user profile command and see what special authorities it requires. All of us know that it requires SecAdmin special authority, so obviously this person tried to run that command without that special authority. But that can be a really helpful thing. Sometimes you're looking at the object and you think they have authority to the object. So you need to pay special attention to know when it's a special authority violation, and that will clear up some mysteries there. Okay, let's go. So that's the authority failures, insufficient authority and lack of special authority. There's also a type of failure that you might get if you are running at security level 20 or 30, and these are the failures that you want to look for to move your system to level 40. Now again, I haven't seen a system in recent memory, and my memory goes back quite a ways, where somebody can't run at level 40. But you do want to audit to make sure, because there are some things that you might have to do to modify your own applications to make sure that they run at 40. So we have created a specific report just for that. So if you look in our level 40 errors, that is a report to tell you if you need to take a look at some things before moving your system to level 40. So again, we can run this and we can put some dates in here. I always try to, when somebody wants to move to level 40, I try to make sure that they've audited at least over month end or quarter end, because the idea is that you want to make sure that you've seen as much of your code exercise as possible. So we have a specific report that will help you with that type of activity. So if we display that, you can see that we spell out exactly what the issue is. So this is a case where somebody tried to call an operating system program directly. So you can find out where that program was that tried to call the program. So the object name was QSYUP. It's a program. It came out of this specific program and so forth. So there's a couple things that can happen when you're trying to move to level 40. You may try to use a job description that names a user profile. But again, our report is tuned to those types of errors, and it will spell that out for you. Okay, next up, log on, log off times. Now, this type of information can be used in a couple different ways. So again, I'm going to clean up my reports here so that we don't start scrolling through a bunch of reports. So this is the interactive jobs log on, log off. And again, we have two reports that will do this. You may, again, want to set up a situation where you are monitoring where QSecOffer has signed off and signed on. And so if we take a look at the guidelines for this first report, you can see that it will default to include the IBM profiles that typically are used for sign-on. And so you can modify this or leave it at this. The other thing to note is that you have to have job data specified in your Q odd level system value, and that's not one that all people have specified in their Q odd level system value. It does produce quite a few entries, but if you need to modify or monitor rather when certain profiles, or if you want to debug when a specific profile has logged on or logged off, this is the value that you want and need. Okay, so this one defaults to the IBM profiles, and when I say defaults to it, that means that the condition list, that filter that has been set up and is associated with this particular report, has been defaulted to the IBM QSEC offer, QProgrammer, QUser profiles. And I'll just show you that real quickly. Here's the interactive jobs. So when we display this one, you can see that it has the list of the IBM profiles I just recited. And the other one will be the generics. So this is, we can see when anybody signed off and signed on. And again, you would probably use this condition list or this filter, not necessarily to see everyone, because I know that some of you are managing systems with thousands of user profiles, so this would be a huge report. But perhaps you want to find out when a specific profile signed on. And so then you can use and specify a specific profile. So then I can just run that report. And we can see whenever CJW signed on and signed off. So you can see the start and end time. Okay, so there's the start, the time that it ended, that session ended, and the IP address that it was coming from. So again, from a debug perspective, you may be able to use this information from a debug perspective. From an audit perspective, you probably want to set up certain profiles like the QSEC offer and leave this report defaulting to the QSEC offer profiles. We can just run that and show you what that looks like. And you can see when QSEC offer signed on and signed off, and again, where they were coming from. So this would probably be something that you would want to set up and have a report for on a regular basis. So again, you can use this product to either debug, or you can use this product or you can use this product to do something like compliance reporting. Okay, next up. Number 7 was log on, log off time. Number 6 is invalid sign-on attempts. And again, this is something that you may either want to do from either a debug point of view or from a compliance point of view. So here's invalid sign-on attempts. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this. And again, this one defaults, if I'm not mistaken, to the IBM profiles. To do invalid sign-on attempts for everyone could be a little huge and onerous, quite frankly. So from a compliance point of view, you might want to just leave it for the IBM profiles. However, I have seen a case where we were at a client and a specific profile was being disabled constantly, and we were trying to figure out how on earth that was happening. And so we looked for the invalid sign-on attempts, and we found out where the profile was being disabled from. And the beauty of that is that this report will show the TCP/IP address. So you can know where the invalid sign-on attempt is coming from and do a reverse DNS lookup and find that workstation. So the case that I was talking about earlier, somebody had hard-coded a user ID and password in a script, and that password actually got changed, but the script wasn't changed. So that revealed two things. For one thing, that script shouldn't have a hard-coded password, right? And for another, they didn't actually know where all of that, that profile was used in every case. So that was kind of revealing to the administrator. But it was helpful because we could just look in this audit entry, get the IP address that was doing the invalid sign-on attempt, and do the reverse DNS lookup and figure out where it was coming from and resolve that issue. So you can see that the password was not valid. You can see what time it is. You can notice trends in here and so forth. So invalid sign-on attempt is a report that is incredibly valuable. All right, that was number 6. What's number 7? The use of a specific user profile. Okay, again, you could use this information in a couple different ways. You may need to have a report like this that looks at the use of a specific profile like CUSEC offer to know what all of their activity is. So that might be something that you have to do on a regular basis for compliance. You might also want to use this information to do debug. And again, well, I won't say debug so much as investigation. Sometimes we have been reworking a security scheme, or people will be trying to clean up their system, and they look at the last use date for the user profile. Now, that last use date for a user profile is a really good indication of accurate usage. The last sign-on date is not so much, because that's only when somebody actually literally signs onto the system. But that last use date will get updated when something is a batch job, when something is an interactive sign-on, when it's a FTP, ODBC, and so forth. And a profile was getting updated with the last use date, and we, for the life of us, could not find where that profile was being used. So we just did a mass look to see how it was being used. And in this product, we have a nice little report that consolidates that activity. So here is all activity of specific users. So again, in my condition list, my filter, if you will, you can modify and say which profile you want to look at. So this defaults to be all profiles, which you really don't want to run, because basically that report will be all activity of everything in the audit journal. So you would really want to run this after you've modified this condition list. So let's look and see. Well, we have that profile called devious, don't we? So we're going to call this devious and see where devious has been hanging out on the system. Okay, so I want all activity for these specific users. And let's see what they've done for the last little while here. Okay, so we have activity. Ooh, doesn't look like devious has been doing anything. No. Okay, so here's a couple things that you can do. When you are running this product and you get just a header product or a header report, you can see at the bottom of this header that there were 0 records that met the conditions. Okay, so that means I don't have any entries for devious. Let's go back and put in CUSEC offer, and I bet we'll find something. All right, let's try this. And run, and oh, let's do 1. There we go. Give it a little bit more time. That's gathering a bit more information, because CUSEC offer runs some system jobs. So that's probably, yep, you can see the total piece of activity. You're probably going to want to put some time restriction. Again, if you're report that me do this type of scroll to the right. Okay, so you can see what the operation was. Okay, job change. Let's go to the bottom. Oh, a lot of job change. Oh, there's some authority changes and so forth. So again, what you can do is to see what's going on throughout the system. It's one consolidated report. Okay, use of a specific user profile. Number 4, password change not meeting password composition rules. Okay, now how on earth can that even happen? Well, you know, as an administrator, you all know that you can run change user profile for a profile and specify that password field. Specify the password field, and you can put anything in here, right? So anything. And that's a valid password in change user profile, as is something as simple as the letter A, because it does not go through those rules as defined in the system value rules for passwords. So I can change this literally to be a password of A, and it will be fine, and I can sign on with it. Right? And I have a very incredibly weak password, which is something that you don't want to do. So what you might want to do as a security officer is to run this report that shows when a password has been changed that doesn't meet the criteria. Okay, so if we look at user profiles, and I've scrolled to the bottom of our list of reports that are available here, here are the password changes. Now again, I can get the list of password changes for all user profiles on the system, or I could limit it. So perhaps I want to limit it to the profiles that have all object, or I may want to limit it to just the IBM profiles. So I could do that. By default, this report defaults again to the IBM profiles. So I'm going to run this, and since we just changed that password, it should show right up. Okay, so here's the system. The profile whose password was changed is QSecOffer. It was used with this command, so you can even see if it was used via the change password API or the change profile command. When I scroll to the right, you can see, aha, failed sysval rule check. So you can know whether your administrators and whether QSecOffer has a strong password or not. And this is a good thing to do and to check on a regular basis to make sure that nobody cheats and has a weak password. You especially want to do that for those powerful profiles because that's the first set of profiles that a hacker would go after. Okay, that was number 4. Number 3, deletion of objects. Again, cannot tell you the number of times that I have been in an administrator's office when they've gotten an email or a phone call from a frantic programmer saying a file has disappeared or some type of object has disappeared, and I cannot figure out how it was deleted. So, can you help me out? Yep, we can do that. It's in the audit journal. So, again, we have a report that shows the deletion of objects. Thing is, you may want to narrow that down just a little bit. So if you have an idea of either which library the object was in or directory, you can, again, put a filter on this using a condition list. So we haven't done anything showing IFS, so let's do that this time. So deletion of an IFS object. So I've set this up to, whoops, look at anything deleted in the path or the directory called CJW. Okay. So that's good. So let's run the corresponding report, because the thing that I deleted, or that was deleted, is in the IFS, in that directory. Okay, so 6, 3, 12. Oh, and I remember why I didn't get any activity for devious. I put the wrong dates in. All right, so let's look at this report. Okay, again, this is a multi-line entry for each of these reports because it's a path name, and we had to have enough room to be able to show where the path, or what the actual path name was. But again, say that you have a frantic developer in your office trying to figure out how something got deleted. So in this case, it's going to show you the path name, or the time and date, the deleter, the IP address, and the fact that the path was deleted. So again, this is going to help you determine how and when this was actually done. So we can scroll a little bit farther and see that you would see the entire path name there. Okay, so objects deleted. You can find out the information directly from the audit journal. That was number 3. This is getting exciting, isn't it? Because we're almost at 1. Number 2, the use of specific commands. Okay, so let's see what that might look like. Now there are times when let me set a scenario for you. There are times when you may want to know when certain activity occurs on the system. So perhaps you want to know when, let's say a new user profile is created. Or perhaps you want to know when a specific object is deleted. You know, the use of a specific command. I guess a better example would be something like the use of update data, or maybe if you have DBU, maybe the start of the DBU command. The scenario that I'm going to show you today actually has to do with a scenario that some of our customers use, and they are using high availability software, and they want to make sure that they know when journaling ends. Okay, and this particular piece of software is Vision, and it needs to have the journaling of the database files to be able to replicate that data to the target system. So they didn't want to just know about the use of commands, these end journaling commands. They wanted to know in real time how that would work. So what we did was to take the condition list that corresponds to the use of specific commands, and I'm going to modify that and show you that we added all of the end journal commands to this condition list. So the thing that we are interested in is when journaling is stopped. Okay, so that's what we did for that. Then we moved that report into a different destination. Now, I really haven't talked about destinations, but you can see that we have several different destinations on this product. And a destination is simply a grouping of reports. And the reason you might want to use a destination is so that you can very easily schedule to have reports generated. And you can schedule to generate reports based on all of the reports in a specific destination. So we actually send out the product with a hint of what we would recommend that you run on at least a basic premise. So things like attribute changes, these are the reports in the basic destination. So interactive job, log on, log off, invalid sign-on attempts, changes to system values, those are the basic reports that we would recommend that you run. And so all you have to do is generate the report and specify the destination, and you don't have to generate a job schedule entry for each of the individual reports that you want. You just do one for the destination, and all of the reports will be generated for you. Now, you can also generate a destination where you may want to have the report look differently. So I created a new destination, and I called this one AJR Mon for monitor. And I changed the commands, the use of specific commands report, to be in that specific destination called AJR Mon. Now, another reason that you will want to have the report in a different destination is perhaps you want the output to be different. So we default to a spool file. You can have a PDF. You can have a PDF that gets emailed to you. You can have an Excel that gets emailed to you. So there's a variety of different types of reports that you can get. Obviously, I've been showing you the spool file version, but again, you can do PDF or whatever you want to. The other thing that you can do is an object type of message. So I changed that report, that specific report, from print to message. And when you do that, you get some options. I'm doing an internet message, and I want the detailed report. I don't want the header, like what was actually pulled out of the journal. I want the details of who actually ran the command. And the message type that I'm going to use is a second level. Now, let me explain that. So I'm going to back out of here. When I set myself up as an AJR user, one of the things that I could do was to specify a couple different addresses for the product to reference. So my first level address is my email address. My second level is the way that you send text messages to my particular phone. And I'm going to get out of there so that you don't see my cell number. But you can replay the video, can't you? Anyway, so what you can do is to set up, when you set up that output type, you can say that you want this type of alert to go to the second address that you're using. So in this case, I can say anything that's a type message, I actually want sent to my phone. So I've said which commands that I want to use. I have decided that I wanted it to be a message, and now I just need to set up that monitor. So it's a specific command. And again, if I had more than one report that I wanted to set up, I could just say star all, and if I had added or changed more reports to be in this AJR Mon destination, all of those reports would be set up now in this interactive mode. Oops, I'm ending it. I want to run this, sorry. Okay, so set it up to run, not end. AJR Mon. So what this is going to do, what you're setting up now is a never-ending job that's going to query the audit journal on the time basis that you say. So I want it to look at the audit journal every 10 minutes. And I'm going to, this is a special value of 99999. It's a never-ending job now. So what I'm going to do, or when I press enter, what this is going to do is start up a job that will run continuously. It will wake up every 10 minutes, and it will look for any uses of the end journal commands that we specified in that condition list. And I have to tell you, this works like a champ. So they have had specific situations where the journaling has been ended accidentally, and the alert was sent, and they were able to catch it. Now, I could set any time frame here. If I really wanted to, I could do it every minute, but that's a little bit of overkill. This has worked really well. Now, the other thing that you can do is that there are times where you have known activity. So you may have journaling end on a nightly basis so that you can do backups. or perhaps once a weekend or something. So not only can you set up to see the use of specific commands, but you can say, I don't want to have an alert sent if it is certain people. So the way that you would do that is to change the query selection. So the query that I am trying to modify is the commands query, and I'm going to modify it based on a specific user profile. And I'm adding that selection criteria, and I'm going to omit them from the alerts. So if the user happens to be one of your job scheduling or system admin or people that you know are going to legitimately run these commands, you can omit them. So you can omit them based on their specific name. You can omit them based on a specific user class that they might be in. SecAdmin, yes. The special authority that they might have, or the particular members of a specific group. So again, you can make sure that you're not getting alerted in the middle of the night when known activity happens. So again, this works like a champ, and if I could show my phone on this webinar, I would love to do that, but I can't. So anyway, it is a wonderful way to get alerts when you are getting activity that you want to be alerted on. Okay, use of specific commands. Creation of objects, and this is number one. Now, I'm excited to show you this one because I think that a lot of people realize that you can have creation of objects be alerted, but the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that it can help you find when new programs have been added to a specific library or they're being replaced. And I know that a lot of you have audit requirements to know when a program was actually changed or replaced, and that it is not easy to do based on the last change date of the program, because that change date gets updated for the program object even though the program itself, the code, didn't get changed. So I think that this creation of object entry is going to help you. So again, you can either look for the creation of all objects, but more than likely you want to limit this down. So again, I'm going to go into my condition list, and I'm going to go into the creation of object condition list, and I am going to modify this. And so what I'm doing is looking for all programs in the CJW library. Okay, so when we go to run this report, run this report. And when we see the result of this report, you can see that I either had a new object created, and here's the program name, or an object was replaced. So when a program is being compiled for the first time and added to the library, it's going to come up as a new object. But if the program has been replaced, so that compile option that says replace program, yes, if it's a replaced object, it's going to tell you that. So this should help you determine when your objects are being replaced. Now again, remember the last item that I showed you, that you could filter out based on users, right? So in this case, you probably have a change management process that is in place where you want to filter out that known or legitimate activity, and you want to just make sure that you are seeing when programmers are creating things directly into those production libraries. So again, what you can do is change the query selection and do the filtering so that you are only seeing what you want to. And you can either do that based on a program. So you can filter out. So again, if you have a process and it is always coming from and your change management process is always being run by a specific program and a specific library, you can do it you can filter it that way. A lot of times those promotions happen under a specific user profile, so you could filter out based on, and you'd want to omit here, and you can filter out based on that specific user, MWI prod if you're using MKS, Aldon CMS, obviously if you're using Aldon, or whatever profile it is. And so then when you run the report, if any of those programs are being created by this specific profile, then it's not going to show up in the report. So you can filter it out and just see the activity that is special, in quotes, versus the activity that is known. So those are the 10 things, and there are certainly other things that you can get out of the audit journal. I've just really scratched the surface. But I've shown you 10 things that I hope that will help you with both your compliance tasks as well as your security administration, running your system in a smooth way and debugging certain situations that come up on a daily basis. So obviously for more information you can contact us, and again there's my Twitter handle. And I'll turn it over back to JD.
Okay, Carol, I'm going to upload the question dialog box to you for a quick review, and you should have that now. We can take a moment to answer a couple of questions. I encourage you to all stick around. Remember, we are going to have a special bonus section at the end of this. Skyview CEO John Vanderwall will give you a very quick special presentation I'd like you to all stick around for. So, Carol, do you have the question?
Yes, I'm
okay.
Scrolling through these. One question is, what if I want to see someone with all object access a specific file? Okay, so you can do that with setting up, first of all, you would have to set up object auditing on that file so that you would know whether the file was read. So you would do a change object aud, and you would set up the auditing on that specific file. Okay, and you want to set it up so that it is all, a value of all. That will produce two types of audit records. A record that says that the file was changed, and a record that would say that it was read. So you could then run the report for objects being changed or read, and again you can narrow it down to that set of specific files using the condition list. And then you could use that change query selection. Sorry, somebody's being rather noisy in the background. You can change the query selection, and instead of omitting the people from the report, you could say, these are the people that I want to include, and say that you want to oops, hang on, 7. But to add the selection, I want to omit, and oh my, sorry. Let me just put that up there. You can omit, or rather include the users based on the all object. So you would very quickly be able to just see the users that had all object that accessed the file. So that's one way to do it. There's probably others, but that's off the top of my head, the way that you would want to see that. Is %sign used as a wildcard? Yes, the %sign is used as a wildcard. And the library, somebody said, where does the library show? That is, libraries are always shown. I didn't show all of the fields in all of the reports, so it's going to be off to the right. You'll have to scroll off to the right to see that. And I think that that's I think that that's all the questions that we can answer interactively.
Okay, and if you have other questions, you can type them in as we go on with our presentation. We will certainly get back to you offline with those. But with that, I'd like to say that that will conclude our presentation from Carol today. And we do invite you to stick around for our bonus presentation from John Vanderwall. So, John?
Thank you, JD. This is John Vanderwall. I'm the CEO of Skyview Partners. And in the last about 2 weeks, we've introduced a new product called Skyview Managed Services for Compliance Reporting. This may be something that you guys are interested in, and we've had a number of people write about it in the press, and we've had a number of people ask questions, so I just wanted to spend a few moments talking a little bit about this product offering so that you can determine if it's something that might fit your need. Why managed services for compliance reporting? First of all, the thing that we observed is that admins are really stretched thin. It seems like the staff has way more things to do and fewer resources to accomplish any of the tasks that they're trying to accomplish. Compliance reporting seems to be always low on the list until the auditor shows up. When they show up, then all of a sudden it becomes high on the list and everybody's scrambling to try and come up with reports. So what you really need, or what we've seen our customers need, is a consistency in reporting. They want to know that the report process is happening and is documented, and they just don't have time to do it themselves. They want to do exception reporting. They want to be able to, rather than plow through volumes of documentation and reports, they want to find out if something falls out of compliance and address it quickly rather than try and discover that on their own. And then they also would like to have, in the ideal world, no added burden to their staff, and that's why we put together the managed service for compliance reporting. Well, what it includes is this. First of all, it's available for both AIX and IBMI, and it includes licenses to PolicyMinder for either AIX or IBMI. In the IBMI world, it also includes a license to Risk Assessor, and of course, it comes with annual maintenance. You also get one security checkup annually, and we go through and do a thorough analysis using the Risk Assessor tool on IBMI and using PolicyMinder and AIX to come up with a lot of different information that we analyze for you and then create something called detailed observations and recommendations. So it will give you a very complete idea of the vulnerabilities that you might be facing as an organization. Many of the different standards and regulations out there require you to do at least an annual security checkup, some quarterly. So we have decided to include that as part of this managed service for compliance reporting. And we also do monthly monitoring of 5 essential security administration topics for IBMI and also for AIX, and you can see those on the screen there. Now, the next thing is how much is managed services for compliance reporting? For IBMI, it's $4,200 annually. Can be billed $350 per month, quarterly billing, so we'll just send you a bill once a quarter. If you want to go on a monthly basis, we can do that. For AIX, it's $2,400 annually and can be billed $200 per month, quarterly billing. So we're having interest in a lot of people at least doing this with their production servers, and we wanted to present this to you and give you a little bit better idea of what managed services for compliance reporting from Skyview Partners is all about. The service where we take care of the details for you and monitor it for you so you don't have to, and we just alert you when something falls out of compliance so that you can determine what you need to do. So thank you. That's all I really wanted to cover today. JD?
Great. Thank you, John. This is very exciting. I know we've had a lot of people that we've talked to over especially the last couple of years that just haven't had the time to manage this kind of service on their own, and now they can have Skyview do it for them. So this is something we're very excited about, and we're getting a very great reaction from our customers as well. There are a few of you that are on this webinar that are existing license owners of either Risk Assessor or PolicyMinder. Note that there will be a special price for you as well. So just give me a call, shoot me an email. We're happy to help you with that. So with that, again, if you have need for more information, please contact your authorized Skyview reseller, or you can contact us at skyviewpartners.com. Carol, thank you very much for your time this morning. John, great presentation. Thank you all for attending, and I wish you all a great day. Bye-bye now.